Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the 6-speed conversion kit for the K-tune shifter. Basically, this is all the hardware and templates and drill bits, everything you need to convert the 6-speed transmission. It's one of the K-tune shifters. So here's the kit. This stuff here is only if you're running this type of short shifters along with it. That's only this stuff here. But if you're just running the straight cables by themselves with no short shifter, then you just need this part here: the bracket, the spring retainer, and the pins. Alright, now it's disassembly time. You're going to want to use the supplied Allen wrenches that come with the shifter kit itself. Start off by loosening these Allens in the back. Shifter to the side. Take off the cable guides. I've already pre-loosened everything up just to make it faster for the video. Take that one off, set it to the side. This other one off. Set it to the side. Flip it over. You're gonna take out these two Allen bolts that hold the mount on for the reverse mechanism. Now, these bolts are a little hard to take off to get going at first. I've already pre-loosened them up. Alright, flip it over. Take this piece off as a whole assembly. Take this bushing off, you're no longer going to need it. Take this pin out, you're no longer going to need that. And you can separate these two pieces. Just like so. Now you're going to flip it over. Your template. This is the front of the car. So it'll be the front of the shifter. Line it up. Make sure everything's nice and flush on this side and in the front. And you're going to mark your holes. You'll see this hole's a little bit in between the existing hole, so you might want to drill just a little bit on the outside of that hole. This is going to be a 1/4 inch bit. You're going to want to go all the way through with the 1/4 inch bit. Then you're going to take your 3/8, which is the biggest bit in the kit, and you're going to stick it in this existing hole. Make a mark with the Sharpie so that way you know how far to go in. You don't want to go too far, otherwise you'll go all the way through. And then re-drill the 1/4 inch holes just so they're countersunk just like this, so when you put the Allen bolts in, it sits nice and flush. So basically you want to mimic these holes here, turn these into these. Once you got that, you're going to take the 1/4 inch drill bit. Oh wait, first you got to mark the hole. You're going to take the template actually, get it on here. Make sure this is nice and flush, the bottom's nice and straight. Okay, take your Sharpie. There's the hole. You're gonna want to hit that with a 1/4 inch bit, which is the smallest one, but you don't want to go all the way through. You want to stop just before it gets to this end here. So you can push this against flush, make a Sharpie mark just right before the edge, and that'll be your mark on how to go through. Then once you're done with the 1/4 inch bit, you're going to take your 3/8 bit, which is the biggest one, and do the same exact thing. Don't go all the way through, but just re-drill it nice and straight. Okay, that'll be drilling all the holes. That'll be done. Now it's time for reassembly. Alright, now that all their holes are drilled, 3/8, the bottom holes, now we can start reassembly. First things first, you want to grab this bracket, slide it on here, using the two Allen bolts that are supplied in the kit. Just fasten it in there. Tighten it down. Okay. Now, before you mount this guy on, you have to modify it. Well, you just really have to cut it. You want to cut it exactly like this. Leave about an 1/8 inch off of this edge here, and then cut it straight across. See if I have another cutter. Here we go. That's pretty much a mark that I made about where it needs to be cut. So you want this to look like this. Okay. So once that's been modified, you're gonna want to take the reverse mechanism. Reverse mechanism here, you're going to want to drill a 5/16 hole all the way through both sides, nice and clean, and then you're going to stick this back on using the supplied rod that comes in the kit. So just slide that in there just like that. Slides in the hole. Make sure you align it with the shifter as well as you're pushing it on. And this bracket should go in between the spring, the two arms of the spring there. Just like that. Okay, now that part's done. This hole slides over that rod. Just like that. And now you can go ahead and put the 2 Allen bolts in the bottom to fasten it up. Alright, now you want to make sure that's nice and flush. Otherwise you have a little bit of flex on the shifter and you don't want that. Okay. Alright, now that the reverse mechanism is all assembled back together, you don't want to take the shifter, drill out the bottom hole with the 3/8 all the way through. Then you're going to want to take this pin, slide it in there. So the pin on the other side, just to hold it in place. Slide it on, fasten it down. And now you can see it centers back to where it's supposed to be. Okay, now we're going to do the front cable retainers. And you're going to notice there's some long Allen bolts with spacers on them. That's for the cable. You'll notice that one of them is longer than the other. The longer ones go on the passenger side, the shorter ones go on the driver's side. We'll just stick those two just like that. Sorry, this one. Put the spacer on. Other spacer on. So the bottom one on here. You're gonna want to tighten those up. And that's pretty much the reassembly of the shifter once it's all been modified. Alright, once it's been back assembled with the spacers and everything's back in place, we can set it aside. Oh, one more thing. To mount the cable on here, all you have to do is just take this pin off here. These are Dowler bushings I got from 2J Racing, and it'll slide on just like that. This will be the cable, and then you just put this pin back in, just like that. Same thing with the other reverse cable. You're gonna take the smaller pin here, stick it in from this side through the bottom hole, 5/16 drill bit all the way through. Slide that through the washer. And you're gonna stick this cotter pin on here, just like that, and then the reverse cable mounts right on there. All right, we're done with that section. Now comes the bracket for the dust boot. Now this dust boot has two holes up front. One of them's like a 1/4 inch, I believe, and the other one's already like a 3/8. So you can take your 3/8 drill bit and drill the 1/4 inch hole, the small hole out. And you're gonna take this bracket, these two holes, slide over these two studs. You're gonna put the nylock nut on there. Then you're gonna take off these two bolts. These are actually the mounting bolts for the base. This actually mounts on from underneath the car. So once you have this in place with your holes drilled in and your bolts sticking through, you're gonna take this, and these two rear holes are gonna line up for the 3/8 Allens. Sit in there just like that. The washer. And you're gonna put the nut on. This is of course while it's in the car and you're installing it from the bottom. So this is how it should be sitting underneath the car, just like that. And your other mounting holes are this one and this one here with the 5/16 bolts. These Allen heads here, you just slide right in there. And then you're gonna put your washers and then your nuts on the bottom. And that's what holds it all together. Well, actually holds the dust boot on and the base down. That's pretty much it for the mounting part of it. See, the shifter cable will slide on here. And the reversed cable will slide on that one there. Okay, now this part is for those of you who are running the short shifter, such as the 2J Racing short shifter. That's where this bracket comes into play. So first things first, you're gonna want to drill this top and the bottom hole to 5/16 all the way through. You don't want to get this bracket on here using the two 5/16 bolts. Just like that, with the nuts on the other side. You want to tighten that down. And these two other brackets are actually shift stops if you're running the short shifter, so you don't overextend the cable and possibly damage or break them. Now you'll notice the holes are off to one side more than the other. So you're gonna want, this piece will be the front, it'll be facing just like that. And then this piece will be the rear. and it'll sit just like that, just like so. And then you'll use the 2 machine screws that come in the kit to fasten them down on this side, and then use the 2 black Allen bolts on the opposite side. So it'll sit just like that, with the Allen bolt on this side, the machine screw on this side. But this is only if you are running the short shifter. Alright, as far as mounting it in the car goes, you would have to cut down the 2 studs, these 2 here. Cut those down nice and flush, and then you're going to want to mount the shifter inside. Slide the cables in here. Now you're going to want to mount the cables on there with the clips, with the retainer clips, so that way you know how far back you have to mount the shifter. This way, back and forth. Once you find a good spot, you can go ahead and line it up, drill your holes. Remember, you're going to use this inside hole, same on the other side, and then the 2 big ones on the outside, these 2 here. So this would be a 5/16 drill bit. These would be the 3/8. Then once it's all mounted in, you're going to want to use your bracket on the bottom for the dust boot. And once it's all settled in, you can go ahead and start putting the cables on.